They threatened his family. Little did they know they'd just messed with the world's most dangerous man. Hutch Mansell looked ordinary, just another quiet man under arrest at the police station. How on earth did he end up tangled up in a murder investigation? Let's rewind a few days. Hutch's routine was mind-numbing. Bus to work, bus back home, day in and day out. At home, his son Blake barely acknowledged him. Successful and caring, his wife Becca seemed emotionally distant from her husband. Hutch's monotonous existence might have continued unbroken, if not for one night. Disturbed by a neighbor's barking dog, he went downstairs, ready to call the police. Instead, he discovered two thieves ransacking his home. Both guys had weapons, but since Hutch didn't fight back, he wasn't a threat to the burglars. He noticed a tattoo on one of the assailants' wrists when the man demanded his wedding ring. The noise also woke Blake, who realized what was happening and quickly tackled one of the thieves, pinning him down. Seeing his chance, Hutch grabbed an iron pipe and quietly moved toward the other burglar, who threatened the boy to make him release his partner. When Hutch had a chance to strike, something stopped him. His mind clouded, and he decided against it. He told his son to let the thief go, but in response, the assailants hit him and fled with their stolen goods. Blake, having lost what little respect he had for his father, stormed off to his room with a black eye. That night, he lay awake thinking, then eventually went to the couch to try to sleep. His younger daughter, the only one who still cared, joined him there, unable to sleep after what happened. The next morning at breakfast, Blake asked his father for help with a report about veterans. Hutch replied he was just a metal shop editor, not a real soldier. Becca told her son to ask his uncle instead, a true veteran. As Hutch left, his daughter bid him goodbye. Outside, his neighbor said if it were him, he'd have decked the burglars. The conversation ended with the neighbor mentioning his expensive new car. Hutch headed to work, where his brother-in-law paid him a visit in the office. He hurled insults at him, calling him a moron for not stopping the thieves who had robbed his house, especially since Becca, Hutch's wife, was his sister. He didn't want anything to happen to her because of Hutch's moronic and stupid inability to protect his family. So the brother-in-law gave Hutch a gun and recommended he use it to defend his family. After the brother-in-law left, Hutch took the opportunity to hide the gun in the refrigerator. Later, Eddie Williams, Becca's father, and the company owner came by. He had a talk with Hutch, explaining he expected great things from him at work. That night, we see Hutch enter a private room where he has a radio conversation with someone, his brother, who everyone believes is dead. Hutch explained what happened, admitting he didn't attack the criminals because he could see the gun wasn't loaded. His brother reassured him, saying he did the right thing by avoiding any foolishness. Hutch then got the idea to go visit his father, David. When they met, his dad said Hutch had to stop acting so submissive like a dog. It was clear his father knew more of the story. When Hutch returned home, he couldn't help but watch his happy family through the window before going inside. But when he entered, they treated him with disdain again, as usual. His daughter complained that her favorite cat bracelet, which had been in the bowl with the money the thieves stole, had disappeared. Hutch went back to his father, who advised him to do what he does best. His dad took out an old FBI badge and a small revolver with some bullets from a drawer. Without skipping a beat, Hutch headed straight to a tattoo parlor to try and dig up some info on the thieves' identities. Hutch brandished his badge at the tattoo parlor, but one of the men there derided him, claiming the badge was outdated and insisting that Hutch would need to offer something in return. Hutch promptly retrieved some money, but as he extended his wrist, the man caught sight of a tattoo of playing cards adorning Hutch's skin. Realizing its significance, the man froze, and the others in the parlor cowered, sensing that Hutch wasn't to be trifled with. They asked how they could help him. Hutch responded that he needed the address of the person who got that same tattoo. The tattoo artist readily complied and gave him the address. When Hutch arrived at the apartment, he burst in and threatened the couple who were the thieves, pointing a gun at them. He demanded they return the money and his daughter's bracelet. Frightened, they complied and handed over everything. But seconds later, Hutch noticed a crib with a sick baby inside, the couple's child. This greatly upset Hutch. He rushed out, frustrated by what he had done. Beating a wall in anger, he then took a bus toward home. During the ride, a car cut off the bus and several punks got out. Despite the driver's hesitation, she allowed them to board. The young men harassed passengers and even leered at a beautiful girl sitting there, which finally provoked Hutch. He decided these punks would feel his wrath. Calmly, he asked the girl and driver to get off the bus. Then he pulled out his gun and emptied it. The punks mocked him for trying to play hero, so they planned to beat him up. As Hutch kicked their butts, the punks were the ones who got the beating. Though also injured himself, Hutch succeeded in finishing off the guys, then apologized to the driver for the damage to her bus. When Hutch arrived home, his wife asked where he had been. He told her he was just getting back to what he used to be. Seeing his injuries, she decided to tend to his wounds. As they slept, she took away the pillow between them, and they bumped uglies all night long. She was clearly turned on by this side of her husband. That night, we see a man barking orders at his driver to take him to a seedy nightclub. Inside, the man got on stage and launched into a loud, off-key rendition of a power ballad. After finishing, he was approached by some shady figures wanting to do business, but they hesitated, unsure if such a ridiculous performer could really be the dangerous man their contacts described. This angered the mobster, whose name was Yulian Kuznetsov. He grabbed a glass, smashed it, and killed one of the guests, asking if that was enough to earn their trust. Later, a call shattered Yulian's night. The hospital informed him his younger brother had been brutalized and was clinging to life. Yulian's gut clenched. He assumed his usual rivals, the Obstack crew, were responsible. But no, a voice on the other end said it was a single, unknown attacker. Fury burned through Yulian. He didn't care much for his brother, but vengeance became his sole focus. In the morning, Hutch enjoyed a rare morning of peace. But that changed when his brother called, telling him to go to a barbershop and speak with a man called the Barber. There, the Barber explained that one of the punks Hutch had pummeled the previous night was the younger brother of Yulian Kuznetsov, the city's most dangerous gangster. The Barber also revealed a crucial detail. Operation Obstack, a task force dedicated to taking down Yulian, had been searching for this very mobster for a long time. Enlisted a hacker to blackmail a government agent in order to obtain all possible information on Hutch Mansell. We see Hutch having dinner with his family, telling them they should take a trip abroad since he knows they're in danger. As they eat, Hutch notices a car pull up outside. Several armed mobsters get out, including Pavel, Yulian's right-hand man. Hutch quickly moves his family to safety, bringing them to the basement and locking the door. He turns off the lights and waits for the mobsters to enter so he can ambush them. Mansell manages to kill several, but one paralyzes him with a taser. Hutch is brought to their car and Pavel drives him to his boss. But during the ride, Hutch regains consciousness, dislocates his hand to slip the cuffs, and uses a fire extinguisher to obstruct the driver's vision, causing a crash. Hutch survives, but Pavel is not so lucky, dying crushed by the car. Hutch returns home and releases his family from the basement. He puts them in a car and tells Becca to take them somewhere safe, insisting that he will come back for them. Hutch arranges the mobsters' corpses on the sofa and recounts his past to them. He was a former auditor, a hitman used by intelligence agencies to kill targets too difficult to arrest. He did his job diligently until he spared one target. Returning a year later, Hutch found the man had built a new life and family. This made Hutch want the same for himself, so he retired and has since suppressed all memories of his old life. After finishing his story, Hutch notices his daughter's bracelet near a pool of blood. He picks it up, realizing it's time to drop the facade. He sets the house on fire and steals his neighbor's new car to drive to the metal plant. Meanwhile, a car with two hitmen arrives at the nursing home where Hutch's father lives, planning to kill him in his sleep. But they never suspected the old man was dangerous himself. Yulian learns from the news that Pavel failed, so he decides to handle things personally. Hutch arrives at the plant and uses a bag of gold to buy out the entire company. He then kicks out all the staff and saws up the metalworks, really just preparing his weapons and skills for facing the mob boss. His plan is to raid the place where Yulian's mob counts their money, kill anyone in his way, and burn the piles of cash that are the foundation of Yulian's business. After doing this, Hutch meets with Julian at the club. Julian wants to kill him, but Hutch has a bomb ready to detonate the place if Julian tries anything. Hutch gives him two options: come after him, or take the remaining money and leave town. Furious after Hutch leaves, Julian orders his men to find and kill him. But Hutch has a welcome party ready at the plant, joined by his father and brother. They manage to eliminate all the mobsters except Julian, who injures Hutch's brother. Hutch improvises a shield with a mine attached and uses it to blow Julian sky high. The police arrive and arrest Hutch, which brings us back to the start of the story. Fortunately, the charges are dropped and Hutch reunites with his family, buying a house to live quietly. But still, he gets a call requesting his services as the auditor once again.